Hey, what's up? My name is Ollie, and in today's video I'm gonna talk about my experience through the presence process. And if you're thinking about doing the presence process yourself, what can you expect? What kind of bumps can you get into? And more specifically, how do you do it? So it's been about 5 weeks so far. I'm about halfway into the process, and what I would like to start out by saying is how important it is to have accountability. Because when you're doing this kind of process, there's so many things that is going to want to turn you away or make you change whichever perception you have at the moment. So especially for me, like, what I've noticed so far is that in the beginning it was kind of difficult to get accustomed to a new habit, but as soon as you get past that, that's when the real work starts happening. Because when you've gotten past that, that is when you will start feeling the resistance, and you will start feeling whichever emotional trauma or whichever emotions that you've suppressed over a long amount of time. So I would say so far it's been getting gradually more and more intense since the beginning. In the beginning, I was like the first week, well, let's say the first 2 weeks, pretty much. It was right after that it started getting more intense. The first 2 weeks, it started by just initially, I was able to put my awareness within the sensations in my body, and I was able to locate them, but I wasn't really able to really zone in on them. I was still like too much stuck in my head, I guess. Like I was just mentally thinking about what is it specifically the sensation is, and I guess I was thinking too logically about what it is without actually doing what the presence process is about, to actually dive into the felt sensations that you're feeling. And I mean, that's something in the past as well. Like, everyone had encouraged me to, like, well, it's okay, like, it's something that's in the past, like, it doesn't really matter. And as soon as I just started actually just staying present and feeling whatever I was feeling in the moment, I felt extremely, I guess, egoistic, and I wasn't really able to just completely let go and whatever I was feeling in the moment. So that is the first step of, if you're thinking about starting the presence process, is just allowing yourself in the beginning to actually spend time by yourself, and just, like, people think it's such a simple thing, and once you start taking that action step of doing it in the first place, like, some huge things are going to happen. So what you're going to come into first is experiencing resistance. Resistance is going to happen either way. I felt that in terms of getting past resistance, one of the main things I had to do was accountability. Like I told you about accountability, I have well, actually two accountability groups. Like, you don't really need two accountability groups, but like one really strong one with other people that want to go through the process. So there's different options for that. You can go to the miracle, or the presence process community on Facebook, and you can find a lot of people. So a word of warning, like, you should try to scope out a little bit the people there, because I've tried going through the process before with people that were not really serious about finishing the process, and that only ended up making it a lot more difficult to actually go through the process, because it ended up being started, and like Michael Brown talks about in the presence process, it's really important. Like, if you really decide that you want to go through this experience called the presence process, it's extremely important that you choose to go through the entire process. So, because from my experience, when I ended up starting, and I ended up quitting like around week 4, and from around week 5, when it also says in the book, like, this is the time when it starts getting the most difficult and you're gonna feel a lot of resistance. that is the time when whatever you're feeling, it's just gonna magnify a ton. So whatever you're feeling at that time, it's really important that you just zone in on that. So diving into how I do the process. So I do the process twice every day. So since this is only the first half of the program, this is also the time where it's more about just getting accustomed to the process and just how it works, and just sitting with yourself and feeling whichever felt sensation you're feeling at the moment. So after I got accustomed to that, because it actually took quite a while of just sitting with it. So I had done something pretty similar before, which is from Julian Blanc's training. It's called Transformation Mastery. And what really pushed me was, it was actually through Transformation Mastery that I started learning about the presence process, because it's part of Transformation Mastery Academy. And through that book, it kind of forced me in that process to do it consistently. And that was like one of the most important things, I would say. Like, if you only take one thing away from this video, I want you to, if you decide that you authentically want to go through the presence process, then by actually looking at what is your motivation behind it, and if it's an authentic motivation behind it, then go all in. Like, get yourself an accountability group, and if not, like, just make it so that you can use either money, which is not a good like long-term strategy, but like if you don't do it over, like, for everyone you miss, you have to give away like $5 or $10, something like that, just to like keep you accountable, because that's just the way humans work. Like, we just want to find the easiest way to do something and just save energy. And that's the funny thing as well, like, as soon as you push past that resistance, you're gonna feel yourself having so much energy. Because I've had that where I've just resented, or not resented, I've just resisted doing this kind of breath work throughout the entire day. And when I finally did it, it felt amazing. I've done that so many times, and it's just resistance on whatever you're feeling in your body. And just understanding that even if you're starting out, you're feeling motivated, you're feeling excited, you're not going to feel that way all the time. So by putting yourself in a situation where you can win, where you can actually come out on the other side, and having the opportunity to actually have another habit that is really strengthening whichever purpose you're working on towards at the moment. And since it's come to that point where you are thinking about doing the presence process, it's one of the most important things I've ever done in my life. It sounds extremely exaggerated, but just the act of not being on my phone all the time, not being like constantly distracted, and actually taking time for myself is extremely important. So when I do the process, I do it twice daily. I kind of trail off a little bit, but I sit in a comfortable chair. I try to do it in the same place, and Michael Brown talks about that in the book as well, that if you keep doing it in the same place over and over again, it's going to feel much more natural. You're going to feel a lot less resistance, and it's a lot easier to do something. Like every single time you're thinking about starting a habit, it's always about having a cue. Like, what I do like every single morning is I wake up, I get something to drink or go to the toilet, and then as soon as possible after that, I go in and start the process. By the fact that you're not postponing something like that, like it's going to help a lot afterwards, because it's a guarantee that once you start going through this process, you're going to feel a lot of resistance or a lot of reasons to why you should not go through this process. And sometimes it might sound like a really good excuse, but remember why it is that you started in the first place. So I'm looking forward to hear about what your experience has been through with the presence process. Have you been through the entire experience? Are you on week 1 till 10? Like, where are you in the process? And comment down below, and I'll keep you guys posted on the full experience. Peace out.